Hi, welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Josh.
And I'm Drew.
This is our weekly pull list review episode for October 28th. And this week, we have 4 titles we're going to be talking about. We have Deadpool vs. Thanos. We have Prez, over here a little better. We have Batgirl, and New Suicide Squad. Let's start off talking about Deadpool vs. Thanos. Drew?
All right.
This is Seeley, Bondoc, and Redmond.
Okay. So, this is the last issue of the series, so everything kind of comes to a head. Find out that Eternity is the man behind everything, which I wasn't really familiar with him as a character at all. It seems like there's a fucking Marvel character for everything. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know if it's impressive or ridiculous.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, we talked last time, and we both had agreed kind of on this theory that the whole thing felt like maybe he had a good hook for an idea. He probably was going to have a good wrap up, and the middle was filler. Mm-hmm. I feel like that came to fruition here.
Yeah, definitely. It was nice and funny. There was some really well appreciated philosophical moments in this that I thought were great. But yeah, head and shoulders above issue 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of writing. It's very...
For a Deadpool comic.
Especially for Deadpool, yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of dialogue and some really interesting, like you said, philosophical and weighty kind of stuff mixed in with the goofy Deadpool elements.
Yeah, the meaning of life, the meaning of death, how they sort of need each other. I mean, the universe is personified in this Eternity character, so
yeah. I really liked some specific moments. One of them that I really liked was when Deadpool and company show up outside of Eternity, and Black Talon explains it as you're seeing it the way you can understand it, which I thought was an interesting way of explaining Eternity, and it kind of... Galactus is usually explained the same way.
Yeah, like everybody that sees Galactus sees him differently.
Right, and we get the same sort of thing here, but just, I thought it was really funnily executed, the way Deadpool is freaking out about walking on nothing, and he starts to almost, it seems like he's almost going to have a panic attack, and so I really liked that. I liked a lot of the feel of most of this. It wasn't as funny, and I don't think it was trying to be as funny, and I think it was for the better.
Yeah, the humor was definitely more well executed in this. It didn't feel like somebody that was trying to make jokes and failing. Mm-hmm. One part that really did make me laugh was at the end when he was with Doom, and he was like, look, I actually already killed you, but it didn't work out because of this other thing, so can you just kind of take a bullet? So.
Yeah, the Doom wrap-up was really good at the end. I was glad to see him come back around to that. And just generally, I felt like Deadpool was much better written here than he was in the previous 2. He really went out on that Daffy Duck limb in the middle of this series, and they wrapped it up and pulled him back in a little bit. And also, Thanos was really well written here.
Oh, yeah, he was great. Yeah, I mean, as somebody who doesn't really know the character that well, I mean, I got an excellent feel for sort of his modus operandi.
I thought so as well. I have to assume that it must have been that this is really what he wanted to do the whole time. I feel like this was the issue that the whole thing was written for. Art-wise?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of white space in this issue, which is well-served. I mean, it was a good... visual device, but also a bit of a day off for the artist.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All in all, pretty good wrap up. If you liked the rest of the series, okay, get this issue. If you don't care, don't bother going back either. It's okay. Oh, there was a Community reference. I thought that was pretty great. He said he Britted it up. I don't know if you watched Community or not, but.
Oh yeah. My first thought was like the water purification. But okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. Let's move on then. Let's talk about the first of 3 DC titles that we had this week. This is Prez, number 5. This is Russell, Caldwell, Morales, and Lawson.
This one was hilarious. plot-wise, she decides to go on this international tour apologizing for shit the United States has done. There's also a cat flu subplot, which was great. And another subplot of an escaped intelligent weapon kind of android thing. Yeah, and there's a lot going on in this.
Yeah, they get a lot of mileage out of this very on-the-nose joke about literally going on an apology tour. You know, we hear apology tour as somewhat of a negative way of referring to a candidate who's maybe going around and seems to be apologizing more than, you know, we got that term a lot with Obama at the beginning of his second term. They said, oh, his big apology tour. So it was fun to see this simple joke of, well, let's really go on an apology tour, like on purpose, and literally go around and apologize to everybody we fucked with. You know, she goes to Vietnam and Japan and all these. So I like that we get that much mileage out of a simple joke here. And I feel like that's more and more where these issues are going. They take a central theme, a central satirical or ironic concept, and he just runs with it.
Just really run with it.
Yeah, it really drags it over the coals to see what he can get out of it. And in this one, I think it really worked.
Yeah, these they keep getting darker and funnier, and it's great. It's the most depressing laugh that I'll probably have all month. You know, it's fantastic. I mean, the way that he's able to sort of weave both of these together, like the tragedy of politics in the modern world we live in, and also being funny enough that you don't just want to go take a nap after you read it. You know, I love this title. I really do.
Yeah, for me, I think maybe the only thing that makes me not completely love it is it's so unabashedly liberal. And I'm relatively liberal myself, but I do feel maybe a little pandered to at times with it, because it's so leftist in its leanings. You know, you can tell that Russell's going to vote for Bernie Sanders, you know?
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's funny and it's interesting, and it's nice to have something that speaks to your own perspective, especially from a large corporation, which, by the way, irony, DC.
Yeah.
You know, they're not exactly small potatoes, but...
Yeah, they're not Walmart either.
They're not.
And I think that's an interesting point, because I don't feel like the conservatives necessarily are getting demonized most of the time. I think it's just how the way modern politics work, and these large corporations that are doing things like not coming out with a life-saving medicine as fast as they could because they're waiting for the stocks to go up. You know, just real shit like that both parties should be on the same page about.
That's true.
They aren't always necessarily, because money talks.
You definitely surely agree that it has a liberal bent to it, though.
Yeah, but I would say it is anti-oligarchy more than anti-conservative.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think it's really bashing on the conservatives any more than anybody else. It's you can just definitely feel that the solutions, I think, that Russell feels would be appropriate, or which, you know, never really get completely fleshed out, though. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's coming from that side, regardless of if they're pulling punches or not, or really going after conservatives. It still feels pretty leftist to me.
Sure.
So, you know, my point being, if that's not your cup of tea, you're not going to like it. But other than that, it's pretty funny.
Art-wise, again, not super detailed, but I think it sort of serves the theme of being very light about how depressing it is.
Overall on that one, great.
Yeah.
Read it. It's funny.
Read it.
All right, next on our list, another DC title. This is a DC heavy week for us. I think last week we had a lot of Marvel, didn't we?
I think so. Yeah.
That makes sense. This is Batgirl number 45. This is Stewart, Fletcher, Tar, and LaPointe.
This is the big wedding issue. So the wedding is pretty central to the beginning and end of it. In the middle, Dick Grayson comes back. They apparently all thought he was dead. I'm not exactly sure how that worked out. I know he was a secret agent for some time, so I assume that was just part of the deal. Like,
right.
You know.
He still is a secret agent.
Okay.
Grayson's a pretty big title. It's right on the cusp of DC things that we're not reading that I constantly think maybe we should check out. Maybe we'll do a trade on that. If anybody's following Grayson, let us know if you think we should look into that and read it at some point. This was definitely a wedding issue. I'm surprised this wasn't the annual.
Yeah.
Actually, this feels like something that would be an annual or some sort of special edition.
It's a bit of a step out. I mean, we did have a build towards the wedding, in the past few issues, but this is just wedding.
There's no villain
No, not
in
at all.
this at all. There's literally no villain until, there's a reveal at the end. Big surprise! There's a reveal at the end. It's a comic book. But there's no, the antagonist here is Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this book?
Reading it, I kind of had that song in my head that plays in like all those stupid teen movies, like The Perfect Day. Like that's what it feels like, because she's got her like wedding survival kit, and this girl needs deodorant, and this one needs the back to her earring, and I'm totally prepared because I'm fucking Batgirl. It's surprisingly enjoyable though. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this qualifies as, it kind of felt like a guilty pleasure kind of deal. This isn't one to hand to the bros and be like, yo, you should check this out, dog.
Right.
But
yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to get this sort of thing, I think, out of DC, to see this happening in the same world as everything else that we're reading. Mm-hmm. And I think it manages to fit into the world still. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel out of place, and it rounds things out for me. I enjoyed it. It not only rounds things out from the DC perspective, but just from a reading perspective, it's a nice change of pace. I've kind of felt that way about Batgirl in general. It's the light, feminine, but it still has the excitement that you want out of, especially a DC book with a bat branding on it.
It's almost like the anti-Batman in a lot of ways, because it's very dialogue heavy. There's not a lot of inner monologue or narration at all. The color palette is consistently very, very light. Mm-hmm. Just all of the key Batman components are just completely gone. It's like they went for the exact opposite thing, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just the art, like you said, is really light, but it's also like we've commended it for in the past. It's really well told. The story is well told through the artistic endeavors here. Like you really feel the weight of the characters, even though they're cartoony. I've said this before. I feel like I get a lot of the character through the art, as compared to normally we're told a lot about the characters, or we get it through dialogue or narrative boxes. It
micro expressions.
It really doesn't need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and posture. The posture work is really good. I think is what really sells it.
Which is interesting that it can be that cartoony and also have really strong like micro expressions and posture things. Usually you don't associate those two things together, but yeah, they pull it off. It's cool.
Yeah, all in all, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I enjoyed the romance aspects of it too. I thought it was cute and endearing, and
super cute.
Yeah, I think cute's a good word for this whole issue, actually. I really can see how, like, they're definitely shooting for, the teen girl demographic on this. I guarantee that demographic would eat this up if they give it a chance. But I think there's a lot in here. Maybe not so much this issue unless you've been reading it. If you've never picked up Batgirl before and you're, like our age and male and not normally reading this kind of stuff, you might not care. But it works well, I think, in the overall narrative that we've had recently. In the same way that an occasional sappy episode of a TV show can be endearing if you've been into the show, and seeing characters get together or have, a romantic moment can be enjoyable even if you're not normally into that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I am surprised this wasn't an annual or even like a biannual. They should do biannuals. It'd be good. Like every 6 months you just get like a extra big issue that's set aside from everything else.
Well, no, this was a lesbian wedding, not...
That doesn't mean that one of them wasn't also attracted to men.
That's true. I'm making assumptions here. But it could be a lesbian annual.
Fucking cis piece of shit.
Yeah, such a shitlord. Okay. Finally, our last issue that we have today to talk about is again a DC title. This is Ryan, Briones, and Blonde. This is the team that's been on this for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm. So this one, it's the start of a new story arc. Waller's on the team now. Black Manta doesn't seem to be. And we also get this sort of Batman-esque thing where they're looking for somebody that deals drugs that also give superpowers. But I guess you get high off them too, so it's a little bit different than the Mr. Bloom type thing.
I really like that, by the way. Being that we're reading Batman as well, I see the tie-in, and to me it solidifies the DC universe and pulls some of these titles together, which isn't always something I care if that happens or not, but it is interesting when it's done well. And I think this is an instance where it's done well because you can feel like, well, maybe what they're looking for and what Batman's dealing with are, two branches of the same problem,
right?
Related in some way.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced at all. It's not like John's writing for Flash just so he can introduce the idea of this Speed Force thing and then work that into a Justice League thing later on, and yeah. Right,
so that Flash can eventually become a certain ring color because he thought it would be cool in Green Lantern to have his Flash show up, and exactly. That shit drives me crazy, but that doesn't feel like this. It doesn't feel like the Continuity Hound, super tie-in bullshit. It's just an interesting little connection that I don't know if it's do you think it's intentional?
They have to at least be aware of what's going on in Batman, but yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So writing-wise, what did you think of this one?
It feels more like the annual than the issues prior to the annual, and I'm super happy about that.
Me too.
I feel like we got a lot of little bits of character development in this. We see, I don't want to say Harley kind of losing her shit because it's Harley, like her shit's long gone, but we see her definitely have some internal struggles with things. The part with Deadshot and him like having his own kind of problems going on, Waller being with them and just dealing with all that. Captain Boomerang fucking treating this drug deal like it's a movie was fantastic.
Yeah, Boomerang, the writing for Boomerang stole the show for me. I thought that was great. Well, that's what they do in the movies,
Right, yeah. Just ruins this shit because he treated it like it was a movie drug deal, and such was not the case. Why would you need to see the drugs? You just take the money. It's like, I don't know, don't people normally do that?
Yeah, that was good. I thought the writing was really strong here, I agree.
And also a lot more dense than it has been in the past.
Yeah, we've seen that he has the chops. Ryan has the chops to do some good, funny. He does a good job of straddling that line of being kind of serious stuff going on, but always having that lighthearted, almost sitcom-y approach to a lot of dirty dealings and a lot of brutal things happening. I could see this being, on television as another show with the DC lineup of shows with Arrow and the Flash.
Oh, I wish there was a Suicide Squad show.
I could see this as one of those shows that has that same lighthearted, grimdark feel that especially Arrow has. It's kind of a mix of the Arrow and Flash to me in the way that it comes off, which is great. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's a pretty quick episode or issue. It's basically just a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah, I feel like it took a little bit longer to read, though, than the issues prior to the annual. Because, before that, we'd have, like, a whole page of, like, a fight sequence and then, like, a word bubble, a lone one. But this definitely feels... they did justice to the visual chaos and stuff that's going on. It is a very action-based sequence of events that's happening. But the dialogue didn't feel sparse by any means.
No, it's almost more like a old Bruce Willis movie in the way that there's all sorts of shit going on, but there's a lot of discussion happening as well. It reminds me of Fifth Element or the Die Hard movies, or also maybe like a Lethal Weapon, like these comedic action films. You're behind the bar and quipping and making jokes and talking about my arm's sore and.
Get the fuck over it,
Lawton. Stop being a bitch, like back and forth at each other. it has that vibe that's really starting to come together that I felt like we were missing in some of the early issues we were reading a few months back, and it's really starting to gel now. I'm liking it.
Mm. So art-wise, Manta isn't in this, so he
Right.
can't be our, well, Manta looks cool.
Right.
So what did you think?
Well, there's no Manta. So yeah, you know, it's okay. I don't like the way Harley specifically looks.
Okay.
Her look really bothers me in this. Not like, oh, it bothers me, but she
Doesn't
just,
seem right for some reason.
yeah, she seems dead. A lot of the characters feel kind of dead-eyed to me. I don't know what it is about this art style that.
I kind of liked it. I thought the shading was rather clever. I thought pretty much everybody in general looked pretty cool. I mean, we don't get any super gloss Black Manta, which was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's okay. I think a lot of the framing is done really well. It has a real good cinematic feel to it. You get a good sense of the action and how things are progressing. But there's nothing to write home about in terms of either. Like I said, the expressions are always kind of dead. I get that Steve Dillon kind of vibe with all the characters, where they're all just looking straight forward with blank expressions on their faces all the time. So it's sort of the opposite of Batgirl that we just talked about, where you get so much information off of the expressions and the postures. We get none of that here, I feel like.
yeah. I think it's maybe a little bit more detailed than Batgirl, maybe.
Sure. Yeah, but
Not in the faces.
not in the faces and not in the posture. It's more about setting the scene than it is setting the emotional content of the characters. You're not getting an expression of character from the art. All that's coming out of the writing.
Sure. Last noteworthy note, Vic Sage is starting to feel like a major role in this.
Right. He's starting to run things a little, and
big reveal at the end.
yeah, he's doing some shit and things. So yeah, I agree.
Makes you kind of question where it's going.
Right. Could be cool. Hopefully they do something with it and they're not just using Vic Sage because the name is familiar and
yeah, just as some random faceless character.
right. Ooh. Yeah, all in all, it's pretty good. I liked it. I'm liking it more and more each month.
Yeah.
I'm more and more likely to recommend it each time we read it. So, and I don't think it's because I'm more invested in it either, because I don't.
No, I mean it's a new story arc that we just got.
Right.
So yeah.
And I'm not particularly invested in the comic, to be honest. I could drop it and I'd be okay. It's one of those, but I'm not going to because I'm liking where it's going, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm out of comics. That's it for the week. You can check back with this tomorrow, right? We're dropping it tomorrow, Friday the 29th. We're going to be talking about Bloodshot Reborn, the first...
Friday the 30th.
You're right, the 30th.
Yeah.
Fucking dates and things, man. So October 30th, that's Friday, we're going to be talking about Bloodshot Reborn. The first trade of that, which is also issues 1 through 5. To be technical, we read issues 1 through 5. We don't have the physical trade.
Yeah, I don't have it.
But we read that story. We talk about that. We both loved it, so you should check it out and see what we have to say about it. It's cool, interesting.
Yeah. Lemire's on it, so if you're familiar with him, it's for you.
Yeah, good art. Very cool stuff. So check that out. Of course, come back next week when we do this again with next week's poll. Subscribe.
Yeah. And we're going to have a month review coming up pretty soon. This is the last week of the month.
We are. Yeah, we got the monthly review coming up. You can also like. We also are going to, here pretty soon, talk about the first month worth of Batman and Robin Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
See what we think of that and whether or not you should waste your time picking that up every week.
Yeah, because it's a weekly.
It's weekly and it's going to go for a while. There's tons, at least at our comic shops around here, there's tons of every issue on the shelf. I'm sure it's like that everywhere. It's one of those sort of comics, so you can go back and just pick it up if we tell you should, or you can, flip it the bird if we tell you should do that. And guess what? You're just going to have to watch to find out.
Or you can not listen to us and do whatever you want. Either way.
Yeah, you can just make your own decisions like a fucking adult, you know.
All right. See you later.
Bye.